Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's bonus talk. We are here with Jane Ellen, and she is here to talk with you about how you can support yourself nutritionally as you go through activations and upgrades and fluctuations. So I know for myself, I definitely had a major change in my diet and my needs, and I still do. And it's just really important. So she's going to get totally into that today. Um, Jane is also a StarSeed, and she'll share that passion with you tonight. And she has a background as a fitness competitor and sports nutritionist. So that's her background, and she's going to share all about her story and how she ended up wanting to work with StarSeeds and support them through the Ascension process. So I'll hand it over to you, Jane.
Okay, so thank you, and thanks so much for having me and having me in this forum. I just feel like it's a very special opportunity that I get to talk about this and combine my two passions of, being a star seed and nutrition and fitness and kind of putting it all together. Yes, so my background is I was a professional fitness competitor, and I worked with a lot of clients. I worked with body transformation clients and weight loss clients. My background was also in sports nutrition and functional nutrition, and I get into all of that. And then I also worked with corporate clients in their wellness fairs as a chef and also as a nutritional speaker. So I guess.
Actually, may I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so welcome everyone who's just coming in. As Jane shares with you, you can ask any questions in the chat box. So if something comes up, if you have a question about what she's talking about or comment, feel free to put that in the chat box, and we will either address it at that time or save it for later and have time for Q&A at the end. This call will be like probably about an hour, maybe longer, depending on what kind of questions you guys have. Okay? Everybody good? All right. Okay. Sorry about that, Jane. I forgot to say that at the start.
All right. No, that's okay. I'm just trying to organize my screen here.
Okay.
All right. So I guess we'll just begin. So before I actually begin, a little introduction, and we go into this deep dive, I'd like to say that as I was outside the other night, kind of detoxing from all of the electronics and sitting in front of the computer for the day, I was kind of hanging out in nature by the trees, and I think the bigger picture of the message of what I'm about to get into is just the message I got was really about at-one-ment and stripping away the layers of the complications of the world that we're in today. Eating simply and in resonance with our spirit and the seasons of nature and the flow of our lives, and that returns us into a state of being, because we're human beings, and this is really what it's all about. So to get into the place of simplicity and the place of oneness and wholeness, we need to get a little complicated. But once we get there, once we get the process and what I get into, it gets easier. And as this part of our life becomes balanced and becomes habitual, then we're able to turn our attention to our creativity and our family and nourishing other things. And this part of our lives becomes a haven and a place of sacredness and comfort and peace, as it was intended. Our body is our temple, and it's not a battleground. And from it, all else goes forth and creates. So a healthy body creates a healthy mind and a healthy spirit and a healthy soul. And then we're able to return to the lattice work of the universe from which all life flows. Okay, so the disclaimer, which I just have to put on everything. All right. Okay, so before we can get here, which I don't know, that's my end goal, we kind of have to deal with this, which is what I feel like we're at now. And then, so beginning with that end in mind, that place of simplicity, once you get an understanding of how to create the structure of planning out your day using this method and why, then you'll be able to rely on your intuition, which is your soul's voice, to tap into your body's needs, to tell you what you need to do, whether you need to anchor in or ascend, and what nourishment your body is telling you that you need to feed it. Each one of us is a living community of 50 trillion cells, and yet we're one wholly integrated system from source energy to material earth. And this is the artwork of Alex Gray. It's actually art that he actually drew. It's not CGI. It's from 1979. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he has this display called the Hall of Sacred Mirrors, where he actually takes you through the energy of being a light body and then coming into the world of the material world and then going through the whole experience of being a human. It's pretty cool. So throughout this presentation, I use his artwork.
I love Alex Gray.
Oh, you do? Cool.
Yeah, I found him really young, and he really cracked my awakening, in 2002.
Yeah,
He cracked me open.
Yeah. Okay, so because our DNA was shut down eons ago by the negative controllers, we are basically in a place where we're working just on a small fraction of what we know we are able to do. Our bodies are conduits, and food is an activator, and it contains codes. And we need to eat it in a way to activate our natural connection to our energetic systems. Since our ancestors were already activated in a way that we're not, our nourishment needs are different than theirs. So we can't model our eating habits after them quite yet. We live in a vastly different environment. Specifically at this moment, in this time with what's happening in the world, we have unique nourishment needs. So by eating in the way that I'm going to get into, we're supporting our soul families to activate and upgrade our damaged DNA. We're basically recomping our bodies to be stronger and healthier and more grounded to the earth to be able to activate our higher energies. So the message that I've been guided to teach now is on how our soul selves and our body cells are connected through our body systems, our fascia, and our energetic systems. So our fascia is the deep muscle fibers that are connected they're connected to our bone and then our muscle body, our muscle bellies. So learning to nourish our bodies leads us to mastery over our physical earth body and our energetic electric body, giving us the power to anchor or ascend of our own free will. And then I've been guided to talk specifically about this molecule, glutathione, which is an antioxidant that regulates all the functions of our metabolism, its connection to our multidimensional worlds, the etheric and the earthbound, and the optimal way to nourish our multidimensional selves. And that is in order to keep us aligned, happy, healthy, grounded, and integrated. And I should say, so the reason that I'm doing this is because of the experience that I had, and I kind of get into this in a little bit, but when I met with Angelica, and this was just a couple of weeks ago in the beginning of August, and I had my first session with her, I met with her because I was having so much pain in my neck, and I thought that I needed surgery, and I was just in a really down place. And so we did a session, and she opened me up to my higher self, my spiritual guides, and my star family. And the session really did like just blow me out of the water with how much it helped. Like I had already scheduled a session with my surgeon. I had just gotten over another surgery in my back. I had my back fused. It took 2 years to get over that surgery. And I was just, and then this started with my neck, and I was in such a down place. And so anyway, so it really like blew me out of the water at how much better that I felt. So I kept playing our session over and over again because it just kept feeling better and better, not realizing that all these light codes were coming in. And so I didn't realize like how powerful it was until I guess I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't feel like I'm in my body and I don't know how to ground myself back into my body. Like, what do I do? And it was really quite the dilemma because I felt really wonderful. But then at the same time, I really didn't know how to get back into my body. And though I was having like a great time connecting with, I don't know if she's a walk-in or who she was, but she's really helped me move forward in my life in these last few weeks. I felt like we were just holding hands in the astral realm, like just clinging to each other. And so that's when I really had to just dig in deep as an athlete or as a former athlete and as a nutritionist and like find what I needed to do to bring myself back into the world. And I can tell this to you guys because of, you know, the context of how we're speaking. And what came to me was like the idea of a dirty day. And as an athlete, you know, I used to have my cheat days and my eat up days, but like dirty day was a kind of a new term for me. So what I realized was I kind of had to go against how I was eating. Actually, I wasn't eating. I was just drinking like copious amounts of mineral water and mangoes and pineapple. But what I realized was I really needed to eat foods that were going to ground me into the earth. So like grounding foods. And so I grabbed my boyfriend and I'm like, you know, we need to go to Outback and like, I need to eat steak and I need to eat potatoes and I need to eat brownies and I need to eat ice cream. And that's exactly what I did. And that is really what grounded me back into my body. And it was a feeling of immense relief. And I felt like I was like settled back in. And that was really an aha moment for me that I really understood the power of food in this whole ascension scenario and how important it is. And it really took me back to this way of eating that I used to eat as an athlete, and also how I help my clients when building their programs for them as well. So that's kind of what inspired me to create this whole talk and kind of brought me back into the world of the living and out of this depression that I was in because of the thought of having to go into another surgery, especially at this time, and having just gotten over the surgery that I had. And so it really did inspire me because I felt like I have something of value to offer to this community, to the StarSeed community, as we're all going through this ascension and receiving these downloads. Sometimes when these higher aspects of ourselves are coming in, what we need to do is kind of the opposite of what we think that we need to do, because they're coming from so high up. What they really need from us is for us to ground in that way. And I get into that in this presentation, but that was really kind of what sparked me. So that's really what I wanted to add there. Okay, so across the globe, the message that I've been receiving is that these angelics from the highest high are sending out a call to those who want to answer, that they want to integrate with us and work with us and work through us to help the situation on Earth. They want to form a lattice of starlight warriors to cover the globe. And in this way, the grid workers become the grid. Physically, we have to be able to hold these energies in our vessel, and we must be physically strong enough and healthy enough to integrate and anchor these energies into our bodies. And just kind of like because of the scenario I just described, because they're coming from so high up, higher than ever before accessible in our third density. And I think, as we all know, the Earth is also entering an area of the universe where frequencies are also rising as well. And so we're being bombarded with these higher frequencies in general, and the Earth's vibe is rising. And so we also must raise our vibes to meet the ascending Earth. And so that's why I feel like this is my mission. And it's just ironic that this is what I do and what I love to do. And it's been my passion. And it's the work that I've been doing for the last 12 years as a sports nutritionist and a functional nutritionist with a background in nutrition therapy, is creating programs like this for people. So since 2008, I've worked, trained, and competed as a professional fitness athlete. I'm a strength and conditioning coach and sports nutritionist with a background in functional nutrition and nutrition therapy and a focus on holistic nutrition. I worked with body transformation clients and competitive athletes and weight loss clients. And I also worked with corporate clients as a speaker on nutrition topics, as well as a chef presenter at corporate wellness events. Also about me, I just thought I would throw in there, this is my dog who walks in the spirit world, but I feel like he's with me every day. This is me and my daughter. My daughter is very angry with me right now, so we haven't talked in a while, but I know that she loves me. She's young. And this is my dog now that I love very much. This is my very happy place that I hope one day I'll get to visit again. That's in California. And this was one of the last competitions that I was training for, where my back was already disintegrating. So I don't know how I was doing the things that I was doing. That was in 2015. So then I say NDE, OBE, walk-in, death experience, dark night of the soul. I don't know. That's what I was contacting Angelica about. I don't know, and I'm trying to figure it all out. I've had to come to terms with an accident that overshadowed my career right when it got off and running in 2009. I was in a motorcycle accident when my boyfriend at the time took my helmet from me, and then he proceeded to wreck his bike. I didn't want to go on the bike that day anyway. And I was tossed about 20 feet off the bike, and I landed on my back. And as bits and pieces of that day come back to me, I did have a moment in time where everything did go white, and I did have a conversation with light or white when the light asked me how I wanted to be, and I said I had no idea what to say. So I said I wanted to finish being a mother. And then I came back, and there were paramedics there, and the helicopter came and took me to the hospital. And then I also remember waking up in the emergency room, and not in the emergency room, I was in my bed. And everything went really fast. I healed really fast, but I always had problems. But I do remember getting up and walking out of the hospital bed and walking and looking in front of the mirror, and the whole side of my face was covered in a road rash. And I just remember looking in the mirror and peeling the road rash off my face, which was pretty incredible. And then the doctors the next day were pretty incredulous when they looked at me, and I had no kind of sign of anything happening on my face. So that I'm trying to figure out what all of that was, whether that was like a walk-in or a replacement, because I do think about that and think about my incredulity at how just at human behavior over the last 10 years and the big gaps in my memory, at not having hardly any childhood memories at all, when my high school and college friends talk about things that happen, like big gaps. Like I grew up in New York and didn't even remember where Jones Beach was. And I grew up an hour away from it. It was a place that everybody went to. So things like that. And that was things that came up in this session with Angelica the first time we met just a couple of weeks ago. So trying to come to terms with all of that stuff. So I don't know. In 2018, I had my back fused, which really ended my career. And so I'm still coming to terms with that, which is really very hard, because that was kind of like my superpower. I really loved being physical and working out and creative movement and all of that. But I also really love the StarSeed community, and I feel called to devote my time and knowledge to help in the way that I can with my slice of knowledge, which happens to be in the world of food and nutrition, movement arts and fitness, and my take on the spirituality of it all. Okay, I have to take a breath. Does anybody have any questions so far? No? Everybody good?
Yeah, I think we're good. I think that we're just taking in your story and yeah. I think we're good, but I understand needing to take a break.
Yeah.
So far, it's amazing.
Oh, thank you. All right, if I take deep breaths like this, well, one, I can't breathe, but two, so although I do feel a lot better, I do sometimes have trouble breathing because of the stuff going on in my neck. All right, so these are some of my past clients, just to go through real quick. So she's lost over 100 pounds, and I think at this point she had lost 40 that she put up here. And then that's just following this method, this macro-based method. So she, Marilyn, so she only lost like 12 pounds working with me in the 6 months that this picture shows, but she lost over 30 inches, and we fixed a lot of structural issues with her. Like you can see, she was having a lot of pain with her hips and her gait, and we were able to fix a lot of that just from changing her diet into this functional way of eating and changing the way that she exercised a couple of days a week. And Kim lost 100 pounds working with me in the course of a year. And then these were some of the body transformation clients. She lost 20 pounds. Can you see the arrow when I'm moving it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's a mom of 4. She lost about 30 pounds. She was a client that gained weight, changing the way she ate, and she was also a mommy makeover. Okay, so let's get started. So Nassim Haramein's connected universe. So he has proven basically with his physics that we're all connected. And that's another reason why the angelics want to work with us and assist us in the current situation on Earth. And I love the way that Nassim speaks about this and uses the analogy that says that if we tickle a particle here on Earth, then there's a particle in another dimension somewhere in another universe that laughs. So I just love that analogy. And basically he talks about the smallest particles being intelligent, and that we live in an intelligent universe. And so when there's enough of a will of intelligent particles that come together that want to form, a soul will form from that. And that's basically what Creator Source is. So the spiritual world is part of this angelic lattice that covers the globe or covers the universe. The spiritual world just starts with a spark, and we all begin as void, clear light. The universal mind lattice, so the angelic world is a lattice that covers the universe. It says there's a light that shines beyond all things on earth, beyond us all, beyond all the heavens, beyond the brightest of the highest heavens. There is a light that shines, that's the light that shines in our heart. And so when there is a will of enough of these particles that want to form into a being, they form from that universal lattice into a spiritual energy system, and then into a psychic energy system, and that comes into the material world, into the world of form. And then of course it goes in through, the mother's body, but it forms the skeletal system, the nervous system. And then as energy, it comes in and winds its way through all of our systems. So through our cardio system, the vascular system, the lymphatic system, the muscular system, and then it comes in through our largest organ, our skin, which is basically the covering that we're given. So these three spiritual coverings, the psychic system, the spiritual energy system, and the universal mind system, is what is the Nadis, the intricate matrix of nadial webbing is that which merges together all of the interconnected layers of the spiritual bodies. And that's what, the ancient texts refer to. That's the acupuncture points that run through our bodies, the meridians, and that's what the chakra systems run through. And then this is just more about the Nadis system. So basically, the Nadis run into our DNA and into the very molecular structure of our cells. So we also know that our DNA is being healed and upgraded right now. The divine feminine is, their DNA is inherited by our mother, through the mother. The divine feminine is the etheric energy that has come into the planet to heal the wounds around the globe. And it actually enters the DNA structure of humans into our DNA to upgrade our mitochondria. I believe that Laura Eisenhower talks about this. She talks about how Venus has been finally able to go into her actual, she's been in a reversal transit for thousands of years, and she's actually been able to go into her regular transit around the globe. She makes every 24 hours, she makes a perfect pentagram. And in doing that, she's able to release ether into the earth. And that ether is the fifth element of earth, air, water, fire, and ether. And that ether is what is coming down into the earth to heal the earth. And we see that happening now. And we see also the rebellion that's going on against it. But that's what's coming into the actual DNA and into our mitochondria and healing the DNA at a molecular level. So what does the mitochondria do? So according to Wikipedia, the mitochondrial DNA is located in the cells, and basically it converts energy from food into a form that cells can use, and that is what basically is called ATP. The mitochondria are the building blocks of our cells. They're energy transporters. They're responsible for the energy output for the cells. They're responsible for our metabolism, our cellular function, and they're produced in the cells. They're called the energy powerhouse of the cells. And I don't know if I mentioned that, but they're inherited through the mother. So athletes produce a ton of them in their red blood cells because we need them for energy output. Athletes eat, train, and hydrate and rest in a way that optimizes mitochondrial function. And this is what the end goal of most athletes, coaches, and sports training and meal plan programs are made to do. So that's what we do. We optimize programs in a way, in food and training programs that are going to optimize mitochondria output. Then there's the matter of that one particular nutrient that athletes look to optimize their performance, and that's glutathione. So it's the one that keeps popping up in my head and the one that I've been guided to discuss today, because it ties all of this together, because it drives the production of mitochondria. And it connects our soul system and our physical systems together. And if you go online and you Google glutathione, it's like the it molecule of today. So you're going to see all of these like webinars and seminars on glutathione and MTFHR, and like you're going to say like you should get genetic testing to see if you're like MTFHR deficient, and if you are, then you can't produce glutathione and you need to get like this supplement and you need to take this and it's ridiculous. All you need to do is get it through your natural diet. So Glutathione is also referred to as the mother antioxidant, and it's made up of 3 amino acids. And you find it in protein, some veggies, nuts, seeds, and legumes. Basically, the sources of glutathione you can see here are made, or you can find them in cruciferous vegetables, so broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and then proteins, red meats, liver, whey, eggs, milk, fish, poultry, and then legumes, spinach, and mushrooms. So when I was having my out-of-body experience for a while, like more than a week, I couldn't come back. It's interesting that I needed the meat to pull me back down into my body. So you eat these foods in combination with other foods, and they activate the ingredients in such a way that they work together in your body in unity to activate the mitochondria to go to work for you. It's like they unlock a code, and this is what is also called the macro method. You eat it in this way that unlocks the codes in the food, and that assures that you're getting a balance of the micronutrients as well. It's a balanced and holistic way of approaching the diet that you eat every day. You don't have to change how you eat. I'm not telling you that if you're vegan that you need to start eating meat. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, this can work with any eating style. It's not about changing how you eat, it's about changing the proportions of what you're putting on your plate. So the macro method is like nourishing yourself as an athlete would. It's eating simply and healthy. It's putting nutrient-dense foods or liquids on your plate because you don't have to eat the foods. A lot of times when you're receiving downloads or you're upgrading, you're not hungry for food. You're more, and you can drink your nourishment through smoothies, but you do need to nourish your body. So it combines nourishment in a way that unlocks the codes in the meal, and it uses the meal in the most efficient way. The food combining and the nutrient timing of the meal itself is an energetic code. And then this also includes keeping hydrated, which is really important. And in this way, it helps you anchor and ground or ascend and travel with more control. So it strengthens our soul-body connection. In doing this, and especially keeping hydrated, we become a walking battery. So we do this by activating our muscle. When our muscle is activated, we produce quality electrical connections through the fascia, which is the muscle fiber that's connected to the bone and the muscle. So does that make sense, what I just said?
Yeah.
Okay, so your body is a battery, your muscle is a conductor, and it ignites through hydration. So we unlock the crystalline pathway doing that. So eating in this way, using food as a code, and then unlocking the energetic codes in the food also unlocks the crystalline pathway, which is the entryway into the Nadis system, into the spiritual pathway. So when we're eating the food, we're eating it to ground us, and then we're also eating it as a pathway into the Nadis system as well. So we unlock the crystalline pathway, which is the electric pathway, and our body becomes a battery. Again, your muscle is the conductor. It transmits and receives energies through your Nadis system via your fascia, and it's ignited through electrical currents and sparked through hydration. So the more quality muscle you have, the better of a conductor you'll be. And then again, from Lisa Renee's website, when the crystalline matrix is properly hydrated, in the human body, the entire living system is bound within the water molecules and becomes electrified, transmitting energy signals at much faster speeds than the central nervous system. So our body becomes a gateway to the higher realms. That's why keeping hydrated is important to keep the Nadis system running smoothly. Keeping quality muscle is important because muscle acts as a conductor. And then because we are an electrical system, water is the spark that ignites us. And then just as an example, when you go for body composition tests, they measure how fast currents run through the body based on the muscle fiber reactions. So the faster the muscle fiber reacts by measuring, they measure it based on the amount of how fast the water runs through the muscle fibers.
Can I interrupt you for a moment?
Sure.
I thought maybe I'd give you a break too, so you can rest your voice a little bit. But I know that when we're transmitting light language, we are transmitting frequency. And when I first started working with my guides, that was one of the first things they said. They were like, you are a transmitter, you are a conductor. Like, that's my job, is to conduct this energy. So I'm sitting here going, I feel like my guides are like talking to me through you, Jane.
Really?
Telling me like, listen to this, Yeah, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay. That's all.
Okay, all right, so the energetic benefits of eating in this way, the macro method. It supports the Nadis system. It assists the monadic family in up-leveling you. It assists in anchoring your higher aspects, and it helps you in the ability to ascend or anchor at your free will. So once you have this base of being able to eat in this way, then you can better discern whether you need to add in a dirty day like I had to anchor in these higher energies that are coming in. Or maybe you want to, switch to drinking more liquids or pulling meals out if you want to ascend and, go up into the multidimensional levels. You can avoid unnecessary OBEs like I was living with for a few weeks there. And then you can also avoid taxing out your body systems. And it just makes it for a much smoother ride in general. So you're basically eating macros, protein, carbs, and fats together in a way that work efficiently for the best energy output. And athletes have used the systems for years because it gives them the best results, and they were able to train for longer while maintaining muscle mass and staying lean and healthy. Okay, so the physical benefits of eating this way: you gain lean muscle, you lose fat, you have more energy, your mind is clearer, you have more focus, and that's just some of the benefits. A lot of the issues that you have, if you have any physical issues or you're dealing with, emotional or mental issues like depression and anxiety, a lot of that is from food imbalances, and that evens out because your plate is balanced, and so that's going to balance out your body. And when your body is balanced, your systems are balanced, and then a lot of those things go away. And I speak to my own experience and to the experience of what I've seen my clients, what happened with my clients. A lot of them, just their physical issues disappeared, autoimmune issues disappeared, depression and anxiety. All of that gets balanced by balancing what's on your plate. And that's just some of the benefits. Okay, so here's the nitty-gritty of how it works. Food combining and nutrient timing. It's basically the rule of thirds. It's a redistribution of the calories on your plate or drinking your calories. You're breaking your food into regular meals throughout the day. And how that looks like for you is personal to you. So this is just like a basic general overview, and everybody is different. But basically, some people will eat 5 to 6 meals throughout the day. Some like larger meals. Some people will have 1 large meal and 1 or 2 smaller ones. You break up your plate into a third of carbs, a third fat, a third protein, and then a third of your plate is fiber, so fruits or vegetables. And then, and that's just in general. So when I work with my clients, we get into the nitty gritty of like the foods that they like to eat, and then how that looks. And that's really based on the flow of your day, your particular like ins and outs. and really it's just a matter of, what's comfortable for you. So everybody is different. Combining nourishment in each meal in this way keeps a regular schedule, and that's what's the most important. Your body wants and needs a regular schedule. You can drink your calories or you can eat your calories, and it's really important. I tell people, especially if you're downloading codes and you're going through this ascension, or you're integrating higher energies. I don't know, I'm drinking like a gallon a day, but what I tell my clients is at least 3/4 of a gallon to a gallon. And that can be, like, if you're drinking your calories, that's fine. So I say water, mineral water, or protein smoothies. So you can put all of your nutrients into a smoothie. Okay, so with the macro method, in my macro method, it's a holistic approach using functional nutrition. What that looks like is whole ingredient food first. So single ingredient foods. So foods from Mother Earth, foods that you can pick out of the ground, or you can pluck from a tree, or if you eat meat, you know that you can shoot. I'm sorry if anybody there, sorry if you're a vegan. And I do eat mainly plant-based, but once in a while now I will eat meat because I need it. My body asks for it, and I need it. And I think the other thing that I've been guided to bring up during this talk is the idea of letting go of the labels that we're affixing to ourselves, which is something that I also learned from that experience. First, the idea of labeling ourselves in general, even if it's for a good cause and a positive reason, we're still affixing ourselves to that matrix system. And so we want to kind of disengage from that altogether. So there's that, but it's also tuning into really connecting to what your body needs and wants from you. And it's maintaining or establishing a soul-body connection, and kind of taking your mind out of it, really, and establishing that conduit between the soul and the body. And sometimes the body might need a little bit of meat and fat, and specifically the fat from the meat in particular, because that combination is really important for brain health and specifically cellular health. The fat from meat is specific to coating your cells and the cell membranes in the brain. So if you're going through these downloads and you're receiving these higher energies, it's really that you might want to be upgrading. You might be craving meat for that specific reason. I've just been guided to tell you that. Okay, so the way that the macro method works is approaching your diet, getting the most you can for your vitamins, minerals, and nutrients from whole ingredients first, then using functional food supplements. That would be like if you can't get your share of fresh fruits and vegetables, you would get them through powdered fruits and vegetables, like powdered form. Next would be food-based supplements, and then herbal remedies and tinctures, and then those would be like drops, like D3 drops or zinc drops or things like that. And then going into pill forms of like plant-based vitamins, and then letting go of labels and allowing your body to tell you what it needs.
Do you mind if I speak to that briefly?
Sure.
The letting go of labels. So in the book, What is Light Body? Have you guys, do you know what book I'm talking about? What is Light Body? The author's name is it's hard to pronounce. It's like, starts with a T. But in that book, the author also talks about letting go of labels, and maybe you all have experienced that, where you get a craving that is like totally out of the blue, and it's directly like related to after you've received an activation or had some kind of intense upgrade experience. But I just wanted to speak to that a little bit because in my experience, I was always like, raise my vibe. Like, I'm not going to eat meat because I'm raising my vibe, and I don't want to do that for all the reasons that people do. And I so I prefer a vegan gluten-free diet. That's like my preference and my bias, or my comfort zone of where I want to be. But when I started having these walk-in experiences and all of that, it threw me for a loop. And I definitely had like a night of Mexican food with lots of cheese and margaritas. And that was totally out, like not my norm, okay? And the alcohol too, which is another topic, but I also do not, I have that my own like bias or prejudice around alcohol. I really don't feel we should be drinking alcohol. But it's a similar thing that I think happened with Jane, where it was like I was so high I couldn't come down. And I definitely needed some things to help me ground. And I did eat meat more when I was having those intense experiences. And big picture, I did check in with my guides, and they're like, it's okay. For this time period, you need it for right now, to get through what you're going through. And then after that, you can decide where you want to go from here. But I definitely felt like I needed it at that time. So I just want to throw that out there because I do know that there are people in our group that are probably vegan and like don't want to do that. And I don't think Jane or I are saying like you have to do that, but we just want you to be aware that you may go through an experience where you end up craving things totally different from what you're used to, and just know that your body is trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I think spiritually too, speaking to that, when you're eating meat in this way, when you're eating it consciously and it's for a higher purpose, first, I feel like you elevate the sparks of light in the animal and it becomes a part of the higher spiritual purpose. You're not harming the animal. You're bringing sort of the journey that the animal has gone through and elevating the journey of the animal as well. I mean, I know that sounds really like out there, but I do feel like, that the whole plight of what's happening to animals on earth, like you're bringing that in and elevating like all of that as well. Like it's not, it's consciously, you're consciously eating it and consciously eating it. I didn't mean it to come out that way, but it's a much different vibe and feeling than just not having any consciousness around going out and eating without any kind of sense of consciousness, if that makes any kind of sense. You're eating it for a different reason, and so that it's a much different feeling around it, and your body is also needs it, like, and requires it.
It kind of reminds me, if you guys don't mind if I say real quick here, but the story of like the tribal people of different nations, but this one I specifically like in Peru, where the animal would actually roll over and sacrifice itself, but then it was like killed with honor and grace and then like blessed. I think that's the big what do they call it, dichotomy now, is like the way animals are treated. So it makes sense, like if you have like a traumatized person, like where you like actually elevate it to a higher place. I really like that idea because it sort of liberates like their trauma for whatever, even if it's like a farm or something. So
Yeah.
I really like that perspective. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you. Because I think of the indigenous tribes too, and like I think of a lot of tribal societies and how they eat that. They eat with consciousness, and a lot of different traditions and spiritualities eat in that way and teach that. And I know, like, you know, I don't partake anymore, but I used to study Kabbalah, and they always talked about elevating meat and elevating the sparks of light in the animal. So when I do eat meat now, that's what I do. I'm very conscious, and I say a prayer for the animal that is helping me be my greatest version, and I bring it along with me in my journey. So it sounds corny, but that's, you know, that's how I think about it. Like, that's how I have to think about it. Like,
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that could be a whole talk too, is like what it means to be a conscious meat eater. I know I have friends who are, and I try to be. But yeah, I think I appreciate that perspective, and let's hear more about how we can integrate it all.
Okay. So, all right. Well, I don't know if I wasn't going to share this slide. So real quick, this is my puny day. I put together, when I was putting this together, what I ate in a day, and I realized that's pretty puny. But I can go through it real quick. But what I've been noticing with how I have been eating, so I've been drinking most of my calories lately, which is fine, but I'll go through puny days, and then I'll have a day where it's not necessarily a dirty day, but just a day where I'll eat a lot of food. And that's what my body wants now. And so that's fine. So I'll go through days where I'm not eating a lot of calories, but I'll make myself drink my calories. And then I'll have a day where I'm eating a lot of calories, and I'm fine with that. I'm not particularly active right now. I can do, and then that's in part because of the injuries that I've had. I can do some movement meditation that I'm getting into, and I can do that. But basically, you know, I have plant-based protein. That's what that is there. Some blueberries. Those are some chocolate-covered almonds. Some almond butter and honey. And so the honey is a natural antibiotic. On some whole grain rice cakes. That's my excuse for whole grain. So that's not that great. That's instead of taking pill form of essential fatty acids, that's essential fatty acids in oil form that I get from Whole Scripts, which is a site that I use for a lot of the functional foods that I order through. And anyway, so I make a dressing out of that with lemon juice. So that's a way to incorporate using food as medicine. And so that's spaghetti squash with cilantro, parsley, tomatoes, and onions. And so the cilantro and the parsley and the essential fatty acids, that's all a way, I guess I'm trying to say, of using food as medicine, rather than thinking of it as separate, of having to take a diet or a supplement or stopping what you're doing and going on a detox. It's a way of incorporating it into your diet. And then I will take a magnesium supplement, that's a powder actually, with vitamin C, because vitamin C is you take that with magnesium and it drives it, it's a complementary, it drives it into your muscles faster. So there's certain vitamins that go together that complement each other. You would take them together and they work better together than they do separately. I would add in 2 more protein shakes into this day and some functional, some green powder to make that, because I'm not getting enough of my greens in there, to make that more evened out. What I would do and what I would suggest to myself if I was a client would be to add in some more functional food. So I can add spinach into my protein powders or my smoothies to make that, to have more greens in there. I can add in some almond butter to get in some more fat. I can add some more of this immune refresher, which is basically more vegetables and fruit to get in more of my antioxidants. I can add in some more feta cheese for protein here, and again, more spinach for greens and fiber. I can add in cilantro and parsley into my smoothie to get in, again, adding in the detox to have that as a part of my daily food routine. And any of these fruits here. My bananas are brown because I freeze my bananas. So this is a way to make homemade protein bars. Another way just to add in, again, the idea of this macro method and functional foods. So this is whey protein, oatmeal, and then the 3 different kinds of fats that you can add in: cacao, nuts, and coconut chips. So basically you could just add a little bit of a small amount of agave or almond milk or whatever. You can grind up the almonds and with a little agave and make your own almond butter. You put that all in the blender, you've got your own protein bars. And then you have all these different extras you can put in there. You can put in cacao, which is wonderful and has extra magnesium if you want to turn it chocolatey, or you can add apricots in there and toasted coconut. You can put walnuts in there, or you can make your own nut butters using walnuts, macadamias, almonds. It's so really delicious. At the end of the day, if I don't have enough fat, I'll eat a mocha almond fudge bar instead of using the powdered magnesium and vitamin C. When the weather changes, I might have cacao with some coconut milk and have it warm. And then in that way, again, I'm bringing in my nutrients and making it just a part of how I eat throughout my day. These are just examples of different functional foods. Mushroom coffee and MCT coconut creamer instead of coffee. So I hope this is just giving you guys some good ideas. You can buy, you just want to make sure that the protein bars, so this particular protein bar has that macro, is 20 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of fat, which falls in that macro proportion that I mentioned. I take a multivitamin, multi-mineral, because there's no more mineral in our soil because it's all been irrigated. And again, this is an example of functional fruits. I get all of this through Whole Scripts or functional foods. It's powdered fruit and greens that are powdered. So I would put this in my smoothies because at the moment I'm not getting enough fruits and vegetables in their whole form. And then this is digestive support. So it's a balance between acid and alkaline enzymes that I would also add into my smoothies. More example of just things you can buy and add into your daily meals to even them out and to make your food go to work for you, to balance it and make it a functional food, whole food system first that you can incorporate into your daily meals using food as medicine. Just some more ideas. Zip Fizz is B vitamins. I take that sometimes when I need some extra energy. And this is an example of tinctures. So building the flow of your day. So eating this way, whether it's 5 small meals or 1 large meal with 2, one before and 1 after, 2 small meals. Maintaining a habit or getting into this habit allows you to come back to it when you break it, like I did. So happy that I understand how to eat this way because it really did help me come back to it. You'll learn to know when you need to anchor or ascend. You'll learn to plan ahead. You'll understand how to prep your meals. You'll learn to add in movement and exercise, how to plan your meals around movement and exercise. And it builds structure in your day and allows you to be more creative and flow. So integration and intuition, choosing nutrient-dense foods and liquids and combining them in a way for the most beneficial and effective for your body. Eating and living this way has helped me cure myself of many autoimmune diagnoses, from celiac disease to RA, IBS, and anemia. I've seen my clients beat severe depression, eating disorders, diabetes, stomach disorders, kick prescriptions out of their lives, fix misalignments in their bodies, get over divorces, and remarry and move out, get better jobs and find happiness and play with their kids again, and the list goes on. It's a simple shift with a profound positive ripple effect. And this is what I'm learning this journey is all about. It's simple yet divine. And this is what I love to do and teach. I help StarSeeds become the best walking powerhouse batteries of source energy by teaching them food and fitness tools they need to create the strongest body and soul connection through the macro method, so that they are able to fully integrate their multidimensional selves, so that they can anchor or ascend their energies at will, so that they can continue on their earth missions, lead more creative and fulfilling lives, and live more fully, completely, and totally in alignment with their true source selves, so that you can return to living simply and well. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I wanted to share, if you guys don't mind, I want to share a couple of things, and then I have a question, and then I'll open it also to questions for you guys. So to start, I wanted to corroborate like a couple of things you said, or like just a couple of things you said that like sparked a remembrance in me. Would be, one is like with the food combining, I know for myself that I don't get, well, unless I'm eating junk food. But if I am eating clean, like the way that I prefer to eat, I actually probably don't get enough fat in my diet. So I noticed you have a third, or however, whatever the combination was, but you're making sure that there's fat in the diet. And I was working with a nutritionist. Boy, I can't even remember. I worked with her on and off for a couple of years, but it's really just been a couple of times that I worked with her. And one of the things that was coming up for me was that I crave chocolate, and I still do. I eat an inordinate amount of chocolate, and I curbed it a little bit, and then it's better now than it ever has been, but like this chocolate thing really came up when I started channeling and when the light language came in. So when the light language came in and I was channeling all the time, it would be like immediately after, like, let's say I sat down and did a video where I'm bringing light codes through, I would want my chocolate right there. And what the nutritionist said was I was likely craving magnesium, because she said channelers, they like, because it's so hard on the nervous system too. So she said I was probably craving the magnesium that's in the chocolate, and then the milk fat, because that was like my only, like if I was truly eating vegan all the time, I really was not getting that much fat, like maybe just from coconut oil or something. Right. So so the fat, and then the other thing was with the combination, so I take magnesium now on a regular basis, and that's what has helped me with the chocolate cravings, is adding a magnesium supplement. And then but she also said, like, feel free to have a bite of chocolate after I'm done channeling, but like not the whole bar, because I would eat the whole bar. So and then the other thing was the vitamin C. So when the one time where I had the worst Ascension flu ever, Spirit said to take vitamin C and magnesium. So this wasn't something that was like that I got from a nutritionist. It was like Spirit was like, you need vitamin C and magnesium. I'm like, okay. And so it's interesting that you brought that up too as a combination, because and Spirit keeps telling me lately, I've actually been having orange juice cravings, because they keep telling me I need more vitamin C. So there was that. And then I had a question. Oh, my question is, you're talking about being able to like ascend or anchor at will, or adjust our ranges. I would say for me, like before I do energy work, I usually eat light. And then after the energy work, I eat have like a little heavier. And what I have found when I'm doing like some of the most intense energy work ever, usually after that, I'm like really hungry. But before it, I don't want very much to eat. So I was just curious, like, what you would recommend, Jane, like for somebody, for example, this Sunday where everybody's going to get together and do light codes. What would you maybe recommend that we do when we're like before and after we meet and we download all those codes? Um, what would be a good couple of meals to have?
Yeah. Well, so to your point about the magnesium cravings, so magnesium is also a mineral, and like what I'm getting to for you is like, um, in general, like when you're, so first of all, if you're in balance, then you shouldn't have any cravings. So when you're eating this way, your cravings should go away.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, if you're craving magnesium, then what I'm feeling like is you're having like a general mineral deficiency. So adding in a multivitamin or multimineral might be very good for you in general. But if you were to try to have like a smoothie, a plant-based smoothie, like I was showing on one of those slides. So have the smoothie, but have it with some kind of like with spinach and then with a banana, or with a banana and some blueberries, and put it all together. Have that before your session, and then afterwards have a food-based meal. So whatever you feel called to have. I don't want to say what, because I don't know what you're going to be craving afterwards. But have like, plan like buy the ingredients that you think you're going to want. But just make, try like have it as an experiment. It's a rule of thirds. So a third protein, carbs, and fats, and then just make sure you have a third of fiber, like either vegetables or fruit on your plate. I can send that out. Like I can send out
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah. Because when you're eating in balance like that, you're getting all of the nutrients that you need. So the macronutrients are the proteins, carbs, and fats, but the micronutrients are all of the vitamins and minerals within the macronutrients. So when you're getting all of that, your body's in balance, you're not going to have any kind of cravings. So having cravings is an indication that just something's off balance in your diet.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, yep, it did. Does anyone else have questions, comments?
I do. I do actually on your opinion on like caffeine withdrawal, because I had actually quit drinking coffee back in January and stopped sugar, and then I keep going back and forth. So I got back, and so I'm kind of going through where I'll go a couple days and then the headache sets in. And we had talked about this the other night, but I was just kind of wondering, like from a nutritional perspective, what's going on when that happens.
And the sugar.
Yeah, the withdrawals.
Yeah. So your body is just used to having the caffeine. Did you do both at the same time?
Yeah, I kind of teetered back and forth. Like now I'm pretty much off of most sugars besides like the chocolates, besides chocolate. So not completely, but it kind of, now it's like, I've kind of gone like a little yo-yo with it. And so it'd be nice to just completely get rid of it. But I know that, or replace it with tea at least.
Yeah, you can replace it with tea. I mean, your body is used to it now. So your cells are craving it. So when you take it away, your cells and all of the synapses in your cells don't have it anymore. And so that's why you're getting those cravings, because they're like, where is it? And it's not there. So it's just a matter of time that they're not going to be looking for it, but you can replace it. Like, I would recommend trying the cacao, because it's sweet, but it's not artificially sweet. And so that's going to curb your cravings for it a little bit, for the sweetness of the sugar.
Sure.
And then the green tea is really wonderful. You know, it doesn't have the addictive qualities that coffee does, and it's more of a much more like even kind of a pick me up than coffee is. So that's a nice like transition to make from coffee when you're trying to get off of coffee.
This might be a similar one. Like I don't drink alcohol. I haven't for 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's hard on StarSeeds maybe to consume alcohol. I mean, maybe that's just a generalization or a label, but I feel like maybe it's like we're more sensitive to it or something. But it seems like, but then like, you know, one of my mentors was saying, oh, a little bit of wine, but my body can't take it. Like it just completely rejects it. So I don't know if that's just like an individual thing.
Why did your mentor suggest it?
She was saying that for like shamanic journeying, that it's okay to have like a half a glass of wine because it helps you relax. But I think for me, it's just, it doesn't, I mean, I have a couple of aunts that are like really allergic to it too, but it just really does something damaging to me. And so I don't know what that is, if it's just a genetic thing or like I get almost like allergic to it, which is hard because most settings are people, you know, drinking. So it's almost like, but yeah, ever since I was a kid, when I try to, my face gets really like out of it, and I'm like, and oftentimes like I would have blackout, which was really scary. I just didn't know if there was like something medically, or not medically, but like if it was like a nutrition thing or if it was just a sensitivity.
Well,
See what
Jane can answer too, but I wouldn't, I just think that overall, like StarSeeds, like general characteristics is sensitivity, like ultra sensitivity to a lot of things. Noise, for example, just being sensitive in general. And then like through my own experience with the Ascension process, like I really have a low tolerance for alcohol now. Like I can't, if my family makes alcohol, they'll, you know, make drinks for a party or something, and I can just drink, I'll have them pour me like a sample and I'll just have like one drink and I can't really drink anymore. Except when I did have those couple of experiences where I was so high and then I did drink and it helped me come down. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but at the time I didn't know what else to do. But I think just from observing others, I think that a sensitivity to alcohol is not uncommon for starseeds. So that you just can't drink it.
yeah, there's not more than
not
more than a tiny bit.
Yeah, your body is like rejecting it. I know several people that feel that way. Jane, did you have something to a perspective?
I agree. I've noticed from my own experience being more, I can't drink it at all now. So becoming more and more sensitive. Whereas even a couple of months ago, I was drinking, maybe I could drink a glass of wine, or I remember a couple of months ago doing shots with my boyfriend, and that's tapered off. I actually right after the session that I had with you, Angelica, in August, I walked out of the bedroom and he had just bought a bottle of Captain Morgan, because you mentioned Captain Morgan in our session, and I just gave this look this grimace, and he's like, "What's wrong?" And I haven't been able to touch alcohol since. So I think it's really personal to each person. I haven't been able to have any except maybe a tiny little capful. And I think that is a process of our systems really truly are upgrading, and we just can't tolerate it. But I did also want to mention about the caffeine thing is to try mushroom coffee that you can get at Whole Foods. I don't know if you have Sprouts in your area. Sprouts is good too. You can get little sample packages of it, and those are really good.
Yeah, that's what I've done too, Megan. I drink the half coffee, half mushroom mixes, and then sometimes I would sometimes just have the mushroom. And then I also wanted to, I don't know if you saw the chat, Megan, but I shared the product that I had mentioned to you the other night, the energetic. So I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not prescribing anything, of course, but if anyone is trying to quit caffeine, this product I use myself, and I am a person that always has caffeine withdrawal when I try to quit caffeine, and with this I never have withdrawals. So it's ginseng, spirulina, bee pollen, and a kind of mushroom, cordyceps maybe, and I I can't believe that it worked like it did. Like I had no withdrawal whatsoever. And you take like 3 to 5 in the morning, and you can take more if you feel like you might like maybe be on the verge of a symptom, like a withdrawal symptom. But so there's
I
that.
feel I feel like it'd be liberating because I don't like the crutch of caffeine. Like it doesn't fit with me anymore. Like it did at one point where I was like, oh, get my espresso. You know, when
Yeah.
I worked at a coffee shop where it was like real fitting, but it's like, I feel now I get really emotional too when I drink it. So then it's kind of like a double-edged sword because it's like, I'm like weeping because of my adrenal glands, I feel like. So I think
I
it'd be a wise choice.
yeah.
And
I think
I copied that link. So go ahead.
yeah, it's hard on the I personally just feel it's hard on the nervous system, especially like if we are more sensitive in general. Like it's just adding one more thing that kind of messes with our system. But
Mhm.
I like coffee. I like the taste of it.
Yeah.
If I allow myself to have some, I actually prefer that mushroom coffee. I think it tastes good.
I like it too. And
Yeah.
again, it's giving yourself permission to be where you're at, because I've noticed as my just using alcohol as an example, I just allowed myself to have it when I wanted it, and it was just it became less and less and less. So less often. Never really drank it every day, but you know, if I went from like a couple of times a week to a couple of times a month to, you know, 1 or 2 times a month, and then, you know, to this portions getting smaller and smaller, and then now it's just barely at all. So allow your body to just, you know, give it permission to just let it be where it's at. You know, don't read into too much if you're drinking, you know, if you have coffee 5 times this week and then next week you have it 4 times, or you make yourself a cup of coffee but you only have half of it. You know, just don't think about it too much. Just let it be where it is.
And like you said, taper it a little bit and then replace it with that supplement and be
Yeah,
easier that way.
yeah. But it's kind of like let your body lead the way as opposed to your mind telling your body what it's going to do.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that that's like huge. That's like, yeah. Listen to your body. Can I share one more thing with you guys? I don't know why I feel the need to share this, but maybe I'm feeling guided. The other thing that I take, that I have done some research, and it seems like a lot of people who take this are taking it to help with ascension symptoms. And again, I don't know, you know, I'm not a doctor, but this it's called bioplasma. Have you guys heard of it?
Huh.
It's cell salts, and it's for the relief of symptoms of cold, simple nervous tension, fatigue, and headaches. So that link is like super long. I just put it in the chat, but it's pretty inexpensive bioplasma, and I just feel like it helps support me, and I might like up my dose if I'm having ascension symptoms. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know the science behind it, so I apologize that I'm not.
I can look it up, but like,
Yeah.
especially if they're inexpensive, because some of the supplements like get up there. But that was the other question I was going to ask. Is there a possibility of like mixing too many herbs or mixing too many supplements? Is
Yes.
that ever a problem? In terms of like, I guess they're counteractions.
Yes, you can. Yes, and my whole approach again is a holistic approach. It's a getting yourself on a plan of whole-based foods first, and giving it time to let your body heal through foods first. So really walking yourself back from using supplements, and even the ones that sound wonderful, because the thing, my opinion is, supplements are supplements. They supplement your diet. So unless your diet is on point, then the supplements aren't going to work. So if you have an imbalance in your body, it's not going to, the supplement isn't going to work unless the imbalance is fixed first. So I believe in fixing any imbalances through food first, and then giving your body a chance to heal that way, allowing the food to heal your body, and then adding in the supplements. So using food as medicine, giving it a good chance, at least 12 weeks. And then from there, seeing, well, okay, I still have these headaches, or, you know, I still feel frazzled after my sessions or my downloads or my classes. Like, then you add in like the supplements and things like that. But using food as medicine first, and fixing things through your diet first. That's my approach.
That makes a lot
Thank
of
you.
sense. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jane. I think it's just a really good reminder that we want to support ourselves in all the ways that we can, so we can also be of service.
Just thank you very much for the opportunity to go down this deep dive with you guys. You know, I love talking about this stuff, and I love attaching it to, you know, sort of these deep topics and StarSeeds and multidimensional kind of attachments and things like that. So I appreciate the audience to be able to do this very much.
This was super informative and super helpful, and really divinely timed, because I've been in a situation lately where I've been struggling, and I feel like I have some motivation to get on like a, how do you call it, the meal prep thing, so that I'm not like rushing to work and then sitting at work like, oh, I'm so hungry, and then, you know, trying to, and then choosing something less healthy out of convenience, and just trying to be a little more prepared and just be a little more conscientious of like taking care of my body first. And it was really good motivation for that. And I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So if anyone wants to work with Jane, you can find her at fitnesswithjane.com, email her warriorfoodgirl@gmail.com, or find her on Instagram at gajane7272. So, yep.
That's probably the easiest.
What's that?
If you call me, probably the easiest.
Or give her a call. Yep, the number's there on the screen. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone, and wishing everybody that extra boost of motivation to pay attention to how you're nourishing yourself. So, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, beautiful ladies.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.